The air inside the downtown community center was cool, yet thick with anticipation. It was just past dawn, and volunteers moved quickly to set up tables, check-in stations, and medical supplies for the city's largest blood drive of the year. As the fluorescent lights flickered to full brightness, a young woman stepped through the doors, drawing almost immediate attention. She wasn't just another donor, she carried a baby on her hip, bundled tightly in a soft yellow blanket. The infant blinked sleepily, unaware of the curious, disapproving eyes that followed them across the room. Whispers flitted through the space like wind through tall grass. A few people exchanged looks. One woman nudged her friend. "Why would anyone bring a baby here? Is she serious? This is a medical space, not a daycare." The mother, Emily, looked neither left nor right. Her face was pale but composed, her movements deliberate. She clutched the diaper bag close and scanned the room for a check-in table. The weight of judgment pressed against her shoulders, but she bore it silently. She adjusted her baby gently and stepped forward in line, ignoring the murmurs and raised eyebrows. No one asked if she needed help. No one offered a seat. They saw a young woman out of place, a mother making, they assumed, an irresponsible choice. What they didn't see was the urgency in her eyes. What they didn't know was that she had a reason stronger than convenience, stronger than comfort, and it was pulsing through her veins like a silent plea. Emily finally reached the check-in table, her baby now softly fussing in her arms. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other, trying to soothe him while balancing the pen and clipboard she'd been handed. The form trembled slightly in her hand as she filled in her information, pausing often to adjust the baby or wipe away a small tear that threatened to fall. A volunteer nurse approached her with a kind but cautious expression. "Do you have someone who can watch him while you donate?" Emily glanced up, exhaustion and determination written all over her face. "No," she said quietly. "I called everyone I could last night. No one could come. But I couldn't wait. I had to be here." The nurse hesitated, sensing there was more to the story but unsure whether to ask. Emily offered a tired smile, then looked down at her child and gently kissed his forehead. "It's just us right now." Around them, the room bustled with people checking in, chatting, and sipping juice. Most were in groups, relaxed, joking. Emily stood out, alone, quiet, out of sync with the mood. Some glanced her way, still unsure whether to see her as brave or misguided. But Emily didn't care about appearances. She hadn't come for sympathy or judgment. She had come because someone she loved needed her. Every second felt heavy with urgency. She wasn't just donating blood. She was trying to save a life, the one person who made their little family whole. Emily sat in the donation chair, her baby now asleep against her chest, nestled in a soft carrier. The nurse gently adjusted the tubing, wrapping her arm with a warm compress. Emily stared ahead, her face still and unreadable, though her hands trembled slightly with nerves, or maybe exhaustion. The coordinator of the drive, a woman named Dana, walked over and crouched beside her. There was softness in her eyes now, curiosity laced with concern. "You seem really determined to be here today," Dana said gently. "May I ask, why? Especially with your baby?" Emily hesitated. For a moment, it looked like she might say nothing. Then her voice broke the silence, quiet but raw. "My husband was in a car accident last night. A drunk driver ran a red light. He lost a lot of blood." She paused to steady herself. "He's in critical condition, they said his blood type is rare. AB negative. Same as mine." Dana's eyes widened. Around them, the room seemed to still. "They told me he might not make it through the night unless they found more blood. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't just wait at home." Emily looked down at her sleeping baby, her voice softening. "I brought him because I didn't want to waste a minute. If my blood can help, if it gives him even a chance, then it's worth it." The weight of her words settled over the room like a hush. In that moment, everything changed. The silence that followed Emily's words didn't last long, but what replaced it was different. It wasn't judgment anymore. It was motion, quiet but powerful. Dana, the coordinator, stood and gently placed a hand on Emily's shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice cracking. "We'll take care of everything." A volunteer nearby, who had once given her a sideways glance, stepped forward and offered to hold the baby while Emily donated. Another pulled out her phone and began calling friends, urging them to come donate too. "There's a family that needs us," she said. Chairs that were half full a moment ago were suddenly in high demand. Word spread quickly, person to person, until people began arriving off the street, asking if they could help. Emily watched through teary eyes as strangers became a community. A young man in scrubs handed her a bottle of water and said, "My dad survived because someone donated. This is the least I can do." An elderly woman pressed a note into her hand with a quiet, "For your baby." It was a grocery store gift card. The baby stirred in the volunteer's arms, blinking at the world that now looked a little kinder. Emily sat, barely able to speak. All she had done was show up with her love and her blood, and in return, something beautiful had unfolded. These people didn't know her. They didn't know her husband. But now, they were fighting for him too. It was compassion in motion. A ripple of humanity, all from one desperate act of love. 3 days later, the hospital room was quiet except for the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor. Emily sat beside her husband's bed, their baby curled in her lap, reaching curiously for his father's hand. His fingers twitched, then slowly closed around the baby's. Emily gasped softly, tears spilling down her cheeks. "He's going to be okay," the doctor had said earlier that morning. The blood transfusion stabilized him. The timing, it made all the difference. Emily couldn't find words, only gratitude. She thought back to the blood drive, the strangers who showed up, the hands that held her baby, the voices that called friends, the kindness that wrapped around her like a blanket she never expected. That moment hadn't just saved a life. It had restored something deeper. A photo from that day had gone viral, Emily, in the donation chair, holding her baby with one arm while blood flowed from the other. The caption read, "Everyone thought she was irresponsible, until they heard why." From it, a movement began. A new campaign launched by the city's health department, inspired by her. One life. One drop. One reason. Blood drive attendance skyrocketed. Donations poured in. Stories emerged, of others who showed up because they saw hers. Emily never asked for attention. All she wanted was to save the man she loved. But what she gave, in her quiet, unwavering way, was far more, a reminder that love, even in its most desperate form, can awaken the best in all of us.